So hi, I'm Vicky Fox. Welcome to Power Yoga. This is just going to be a short video just to help us cope with the stress and cope with the challenges of the moment, the uncertainty that we're all going through right now. And breathing sounds funny because we all breathe naturally. We don't have to think about breathing. But just to remind us that when we are stressed, when we're anxious, we don't breathe fully. We often breathe more into the upper body. We get very tight in the shoulders. And the breath is the quickest way to affect the nervous system. So we want to calm the nervous system down. I'm just going to talk you through just a short breathing practice that can help you start to notice how quickly you can change how you feel. So just bring your hands and place your hands onto your belly. Now this can be done seated, so I'm going to stay seated, so if you want to do it seated, but Scarlett is doing it lying down. And lying down sometimes can be quite a good way to feel the breath, especially if you're not used to working with the breath. So just taking your hands onto your belly, just start to feel the breath moving down into your belly. So you're not forcing it, but you might just start to observe the belly rising and falling. And just notice this natural movement. So when we breathe in, the diaphragm, our large breathing muscle, the central tendon draws down and contracts. And that presses into the abdominal cavity and the belly rises. So we're just starting to breathe fully using the diaphragm and just feeling the breath into the hands. And just start to find a rhythm to the breathing that's very smooth. It doesn't need to be the biggest breath you can possibly take. But just sort of ironing out any speed bumps in the breath. And then slide your hands up to your rib cage and let your elbows rest. And see if you can start to feel the movement of breath into your hands. So as you breathe in, the ribs expand outwards. There's this outward expansion of breath. And when you breathe in, the ribs soften back towards each other. This might be harder to feel, so don't worry if you don't naturally feel this, but just be aware of this movement, this outward movement of breath. And just following that rhythm. So we start to consciously breathe. We're aware of the breath. And then slide the hands and take the hands up to the chest. So your fingertips might come close to your collarbones. And just feel again the breath now into your hands and into the chest. Notice, are you holding any tension in the shoulders? Can you soften the shoulders? Can you release? Can you let go? And then keeping one hand at the chest, take the other one back down to the belly. So you now start to feel that complete breath. Feeling the breath into both hands. And also be aware of the breath in the back of the body. And just keeping that smooth, even rhythm of the breath. Just start to mentally count your breath in and count your breath out. And you might notice that it's easier to breathe in than to breathe out. Or you might observe, for most of us, it's easier to breathe out than to breathe in. And then see if you can start to shift your count and start to make the breath even. So you breathe in and you breathe out to the same count. And it doesn't matter what your number is. You might breathe in for 2. You might breathe in for 4 or 5. But just breathing in and breathing out to the same count. So you're just trying to find a very balanced breath. So it's just starting to calm. When we breathe in, we stimulate the sympathetic side of the nervous system. And when we breathe out, we stimulate the parasympathetic side of the nervous system. So we're calming down as we breathe out. You might choose to keep the hands where they are, or you might choose to just let the hands rest on your legs, or if you had the hands on your body, you might just want to take the hands back down by your side. And just see if you can stay with that breath. And what will happen is your mind will become busy, or you might even be aware of your thoughts. Our thoughts are what cause us our stress. So see if you can observe your thoughts, notice them like, interesting. And then come back to the count of the breath. And breathing in and breathing out to the same count. And we've just been breathing for a few minutes, and just observe just how breathing, simply breathing, can change how you feel. And you might choose to stay here, following the breath, counting the breath in and counting the breath out. Constantly coming back to the breath every time you notice you're having a thought, so you're not frustrated or annoyed by the thoughts, but you just notice them and you come back to the breath. And you could stay here for as long as you want. But I'm going to say thank you very much for practicing with us at Power Yoga, and look forward to seeing you all again in a class soon. Namaste.